Understanding customer adoption trends is critical for establishing effective new product marketing strategies. It might be challenging, if not impossible, to sell to each type of adopter without having a good knowledge of their beliefs. Everett Rogers, a communication expert and sociologist, outlines 5 different categories of product adopters in his book Diffusion of Innovations and offers insight into each category. Rogers offers a social framework for those who accept current innovations. The adoption of innovations fluctuates during the duration of a product's life cycle. There are 5 types of adopter for new products and innovations: innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, laggards. Let's examine each type and how it is different from the others. Innovators. The initial users of a new product are innovators. They naturally take risks and are intrigued by the potential of new uses and fresh approaches. Because items are typically more expensive when they are first released, innovators are typically wealthier than other sorts of adopters. Innovators frequently have a connection to the scientific field where a new product originates, and they frequently network with other innovators in the product categories they choose. It's also critical to understand that innovators feel more comfortable taking risks. They are conscious that some of the goods they use won't provide the benefits claimed or won't appeal to a wide audience. It might be advisable to keep in mind what UI specialist Larry Marine says when designing for innovators. It is far better to adapt the technology to the user than to compel the user to adapt to the technology. Early adopters. Early adopters are the second group of consumers who buy products after inventors. They are typically the most powerful individuals in each market sector and frequently serve as thought leaders for other potential adopters. They might be very active on social media and frequently write reviews and other content on new items that they firmly agree with or violently disagree with. Early adopters typically possess a moderately high social position, more financial resources than later adopters, high levels of education, and a moderate attitude toward risk. They tend to be less risk-taking than innovators, though, and they choose whether or not to invest in a certain product with more thought. In making this judgment, they will attempt to gather more knowledge than an innovator. Early majority. The early majority is the next group of adopters to show up once a product starts to appeal to the general market. This group of adopters wants to make sure that their frequently more limited resources are used wisely on items that are moderately dangerous. While not necessarily thought leaders in their own right, they frequently interact with thought leaders and consider their ideas when making adoption choices. They are also typically people with higher social status than the ordinary. Late majority. Compared to the other 3 types of adopters, the late majority is somewhat more pessimistic regarding product acceptance. They are risk-averse and frequently devote their resources only to tried and true solutions. As you might anticipate, compared to the other categories of adopters, this group has poorer income, a lower social standing, and less interaction with thought leaders and innovators. The late majority in a field seldom ever provides any thinking leadership. Laggards. Laggards are the last guests to come to the adoption party, and their presence usually signals that a product is about to go bad. Laggards are highly risk-averse and favor established practices over new ones. Laggards typically have poor socioeconomic position and infrequently seek advice from anyone outside of their small social circle. However, it is important to keep in mind that laggards frequently consist of older people who are less good with technology than younger generations and who may still be in the middle of the socioeconomic spectrum. It is significant to keep in mind that, as with any generalization, not every member of a class of adopters will adhere to that class's typical behaviors. Both high-earning, well-educated, risk-taking laggards and low-earning, poorly educated, non-thought leader early adopters will exist. There are also a large number of older individuals that are tech smart. How does this affect our strategies for product adoption? We can try to focus our marketing on each audience separately if we are aware that the adoption path runs from innovator to laggard with 3 stops along the way. The group that will initially be targeted is the innovators. You would anticipate that the marketing team would locate these individuals fairly early on in the product development process. It would be assumed that marketing would spark these individuals' interests, invite them to participate in early user trials, and overall win their support. User research with innovators can be highly helpful from a design standpoint when creating prototypes before a more mass market final design. Following innovators, early adopters may also be approached before a product launch, and again, focus will be placed on research into the demands of this industry. To encourage early adopters to share their ideas with individuals who follow their thought leadership, marketers may decide to provide them with additional technical insights or perspectives from behind the scenes of development. To persuade those thought leaders to encourage greater acceptance of the product, the mass market introduction of any product must be attractive and helpful to early adopters. On the other hand, it is likely that the early majority will be targeted through more general marketing strategies in the hopes that their relationship with the early adopters will encourage word-of-mouth advertising. The late majority will likely arrive once product diversification takes place and the product obtains a specific market niche. In order to encourage customers to choose one product over another in a fierce market, marketing to this group is probably less aggressive in the form of direct marketing and more reliant on special offers and incentives. Targeting laggards with direct marketing may be totally unprofitable because it is likely that the product will already be in decline by the time they accept it. Instead, pricing and general product knowledge will likely be what drives adoption from this group. Innovators, early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and laggards are the 5 different categories of product adopters. Knowing where these belong in the product life cycle can help with targeted marketing and design efforts that are aimed at meeting the needs of these adopters. Thus, a product's chances of success may be increased.